everyone, Ross music teacher here. Today I'm going to show you another really nice piece by Fernando Sor. I'm going to show you the performance of it here in just a moment, and then I'm going to go ahead and walk you through. So without further ado, here is the piece that I'm going to show you how to play today. Alright, sorry for any background noise, guys. I'm still figuring out how to get the audio to work. I pre-record these because I want to be able to show you, I don't want to make a mistake live on air. I'll admit it. So this is a really nice piece. I'm going to put the sheet music up here on the screen. I'm going to show you guys every step of playing this with both hands. And I'm also going to describe a little bit of the music theory. So please ask me some questions. I'll take care of questions at the end of this. Also, just so that I do my due diligence, I'm a classical guitar teacher that runs musicandguitarlessons.com. If you want to help keep these live lessons on air, the Fretboard Dojo, you can check out the links below. Anywhere from $2 to $25 a month, and you can get my PDFs for free. And at the $25 a month level, I send you a book in the mail every month. One of the books that I've written. I think that's a pretty fun thing. It's kind of like my music education spin on Blue Apron, who send you food and all that type of stuff that folks are doing. So without further ado, let's take a look at this piece, guys. This is a lot of fun. First and foremost, let me go ahead and point my camera at my hands here. First and foremost, we have to realize that this piece is in C major and that it's actually a study. And it's a study on what are called parallel sixths and some parallel thirds. So we're getting these really nice movements where we're actually taking the C scale and playing two different lines that kind of weave in and out, and then they move along with each other. So this is in C major, and the time signature is 2/4. So 2/4 time, of course, means that we have 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. So we're getting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the first thing that pops up is, of course, we're in C, so we've got a C major chord, our C, G, and high E. Hey, Christian, you said you don't know how to read sheet music. I've got an entire 2.5-hour video on that on my channel. I don't do tabs on this channel just because I think reading music is the only way to go. All right, guys, so here we go. We're doing a C major chord, C, E, and G. And then we're going to be moving that G and E up to an A and an F. So we have our C, which is third fret of the A, and our open G and open E. And then we get our second of the G and first of the E to get that A and F. And then G and open E, and F and D afterwards. So we start with that C chord, we move up, and then when we go back to these two open strings, lift up that third finger, and then our F and D are the third frets of the D and B strings. And then we're going to go down to our E and C. So this is the interval of a sixth in the C scale moving parallel, right? Because each note, the note above the low one, is 6 letters forward in the alphabet. So G up to E, that's the 6th letter forward. A up to F, that's the 6th letter forward, and so forth. So we have C chord, A and F, G and open E, F and D, E and C, and then we get open D and open B, back to the E and C, which is second and first, and then open G and B there. So let's go ahead and go through that again one more time. And I'll take care of everyone's questions at the end just to keep me on track. So then we go to F and A, which is a third, right? So G and B, that's where we start moving in thirds. Then we get F and A and C after that, and then another G and B. We go to the F and D again, and down to E and C, then low C and high E. So we take that same interval and just invert it. This is what's called a 10th. Which is really a third with an octave in between. And then we're going to go to B and D. So that was C and high E, third and open. And then B and D is second and third, A to B, and then open G. Right? And the way I'm doing this with my right hands, I'm going thumb, index, and ring. And then I like to do thumb and middle, and thumb and ring, and thumb and middle, and thumb and index, and kind of alternate them. There are a lot of people that would play this differently with the right hand, but I think it gives me a good tone to use the thumb and a finger to move through these. So of course the thumb is P, index is I, M is middle, and A is angular. So we have thumb, index, and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and middle, thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and ring, thumb and index, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and ring, thumb and middle, and then thumb. Now, if we move to the next line here, we get kind of a repeat. We get C and open high E there. That's third fret and open. And then we get that A and F again. And then we're kind of going along the same lines as last time. Now, instead of going to open G and B here, we get C and high E, F and A, so that's third and second, right? And then D and F, that's another 10th, open D, first fret of the high E, G and B, and then our F and D, the third frets, and then E and C, second and first fret, open G, and then low C, right? In terms of the right hand here, we have thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and ring, thumb and index, thumb and ring, thumb and index, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb, thumb. Now, as you can see, this etude is going to build a lot of coordination between these two hands if you stick with those right fingers. Let me know how you guys like this camera angle for the guitar too. I find that the fisheye allows me to show you both hands at once. So theoretically speaking, when we're moving through this is just a two-voice thing in the C with the C major scale, but it does outline some chords. So, for example, the C and E implies C major, then A and F implies F major, that's our 4, and then G and E implies E minor, F and D implies D minor, E and C implies C major, and so forth. But they're really just melodies that are moving in and out. And the coolest thing about Fernando Sor's music is the fact that you get these voices that all ring out, and you can kind of hear them moving in and out of each other. And that's what I find to be the real treasure of this music. So let's keep moving. This next section's pretty cool too. So we start with B and D. So we're starting in on an implied 5 chord. So that's B, D, and G. So this is kind of like a G major in first inversion. And then we get open D and F. And there's going to be an open G in between all of these pairs of notes. So we get B and D, open G, D and F, open G, C and E, open G, E and C, open G, D and B, open G, F and G, F and D, open G, E and C, open G, C and E, open G. So the way that this goes is you'll actually be seeing the intervals from earlier in the piece, but now what he's done is he's having you ring them out a little bit more, and then you put an open G in there as what's called a pedal point. So a pedal point is when the composer takes whatever he's doing and puts a note in there that just stays and it's real stubborn, and it adds a little bit of cohesion as well as a little bit of tension in there. So when we move on, actually let me go through the right hand finger. So it's thumb and middle and index pretty much the whole time. I kind of change it around a little bit, but you know, this part's a little easier just as long as you're using the index on the open G each time. So the next line gets a little more interesting, and we actually theoretically get to some pretty cool stuff here. So we're starting off with this G major in first inversion. And remember, inversion means that the root note is not the lowest. So G major is G, B, D. Well, the B is in the bass. Here we have B, D, G. And then this next one implies D minor. Then we imply C major. And then what we get is a G sharp diminished, which is what you would call 7 diminished of 6, because it creates tension that brings us to our A minor chord. So when we get this with this B and G sharp, that's second and first, A to G string. And then you're going to throw in this D here. Then we get open A and A of the G, and then you move back to that C there, which is the first fret of your B. And then we get open D, and then C and F sharp. So what this is a D7 chord, which would be called in Roman numeral analysis 5-7-0-5. Now check out the music theory video on my channel. It's the only video with like 500,000 views on it, at least at this point. If you are not sure about Roman numerals. And then we get G, third fret of the high E, and open B. And then we get G, G, G. So this is a really cool line. I like this. One of the most beautiful things about Fernando Sor is that, you know, he just took very simple building blocks and just really pulled everything he could out of it. So we have... what we get is kind of a repeat of the beginning, and this is actually verbatim the first line that we went over. So we get this C, G and E, A and F, G and E, F and D, E and C, D and B, E and C, open G and B, F and A and C, G and B, F and D, E and C, C and E, B and D, and open G. So that's the same thing that we played at the beginning. So you go through that again. Next line changes a bit. What we're going to do with the next line is kind of go along the same lines, but you know, a lot of composers like to say, all right, here's something, and then we're going to change it. And that's where it gets really neat. So let's talk about what's going on here, guys. So he is going in sixths in C major again, right? So we have that C and E, which is actually a 10th, but then we get our A and F, G and E, F and D, E and C, G and E, and those are all sixths we're used to. And then we get this B flat and G and then an E. And this is actually an E diminished chord, which will resolve to an F major, which is F, A, and C. But what he does is he actually pulls this G in as what's called a suspension. So he takes the note from the last chord, suspends it into the new chord, and then moves it down to the note that actually does belong to the chord, which is our F. And it kind of gives you a bit of a feeling of relief. And then we go to D, G, and B, which is our 5 chord, and then back to our 1 chord. So the music theory on this part is, it's simple, but man, is it cool, that diminished chord, and then back to the beginning and the whole thing twice. Let's go over the right hand real quick, and then I'll handle questions. So thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and ring, thumb and middle, thumb and index, thumb and middle, thumb and ring, thumb, index and ring, and then that's a pull off to the first fret. Fourth finger for the D, third fret, and then that's your middle finger. Then thumb and index and ring, middle, and thumb and index. So that's a step-by-step tutorial on how to play that piece with a little bit of music theory mixed in there. This piece is really awesome, guys. I hope that you sit down and learn it. I hope that you take some time to get to know it. I teach it to a lot of my students just because it's such a great piece to learn how to get two melodies going at once and to make them sound really good together. So without further ado, I'm going to take a look at some questions. So Christian, he said that he didn't know how to read music. However, I have a solution for that. I suggest you learn to read music. This channel is for those that are looking to become better musicians, which means we have to distance ourselves from tab. I am not like most of the channels out there that are they're going to put tab up on the screen. I think it's worthwhile enough to read music so that I don't disseminate anything but sheet music. There's a video Adam Neely did about why that's important. That's really cool. And he actually used an example that I was using with my students. And he used a slightly different example. So what I usually do is I flash a credit card at my students and I say, well, what was the number? And they can't tell me the number because, of course, it's just random numbers. And then I show them a sentence of roughly the same amount of characters, and they can tell me the sentence. And I just show it to them for a moment, and it's because it makes sense to them. They know it's not just how to say it. You're not looking at how to say things. You're looking at what it is. You're interpreting what it is. So sheet music, it's so worthwhile, guys. And unfortunately, I will lose audience members because I don't do tab, but I'm open to that. However, if you do want the tab for this, I have a classical music book through Fundamental Changes, link below, and their requirement as a publisher is that there's tabs, so you can find the tab in there. So we're also going to James. He asked if I've learned Villalobos solo guitar studies. Yeah, those are super tough, man. Those are super tough. I'm going to be focusing more on easy to intermediate pieces here at the beginning of this channel growing. The reason being is I don't think extremely advanced players really need YouTube. I think extremely advanced players need to hire extremely advanced teachers. And quite frankly, I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching the Villalobos studies here because I need to get better myself in order to teach those. I would actually go to a teacher to work on that stuff myself, at least interpretively. So we're going to stick with, the more basic to intermediate stuff to get started. Maybe down the road I'll do some more advanced pieces, but I don't think I'll do Villalobos. I think I'll probably do some other ones. Well, thanks for dropping in, guys, and throwing some questions my way. I hope that you have fun learning this one. I'm going to show it to you one more time, and once it's done playing, I'm going to be out of here. So, all right, guys, it's been a blast.